Well, Deborah, thanks for joining me. We're just going to jump right in. And I normally don't do this, but I'm going to go ahead and run down kind of your profile and some of the things because I find you very fascinating.
Oh,
I really do. But let me just run this down. I don't typically do this, but I just wanted to read this because it's so much fun.
yeah.
So, Deborah Corn, an intergalactic ambassador to the Printiverse at Print Media Center. By the way, the background is fitting.
Thank you.
So you are a print biologist, international industry speaker and blogger, host of podcasts from the Printerverse, creator of Project Peacock TV, founder of International Print Day, Print Across America, Print Across the Planet, Elevate Print, and Print Life, cultivator of the Print Production Professionals Group,
My
which is
God,
the
I'm already
largest
exhausted.
no,
Exhausted. Go ahead. Yeah.
the largest print-related group on LinkedIn, and girl number one at girlswhoprint.net. Uh, and obviously the women-only group of Girls Who Print LinkedIn group, which has more than 10,000 members. So the reason I want to read that is there's obviously a theme in there with regard to print, and it's amazing. I've been, ever since I connected with you, kind of been diving into your content, and it's a lot of work. Like I'm to say I'm impressed by. I don't know how you stay organized, but you're doing a lot, and it's all through obviously the world of print. So my question number one for you is like, I'm just curious how you fell in love with or started your journey with print. Like what drew you to go this deep into the world of print?
I came up through print, through advertising agencies. I started as a traffic person, working on printed projects. I mean, there was really no integrated marketing at that time. And I worked my way up through the director of print production, where at that point, integrated marketing had come into play. So I had the knowledge of being able to produce materials for print and then repurpose them, which is what we were doing. It used to be print first, and then you repurposed your digital materials from your print things. Now it's sort of reversed on that. And I worked in advertising for over 25 years. And as you mentioned, the LinkedIn group, the last time I lost my job in advertising was the last time I swore I was ever going to lose my job in advertising. But while I was networking, looking to find, work, I LinkedIn had opened up groups, so I started the Print Production Professionals group, and I invited other print producers, printers, creatives, marketers, creative managers, and as an aside, headhunters, because I was looking for a job. And as I often say, humans have free will, and they used it in this group, and they started posting things like, does anyone know what this is called? Does anybody know where I could find this? My printer just told me I can't get a reprint. What do you think? And this is before you could even post photos on LinkedIn. So people were typing what they believed their printing errors were. And one day I received an email from an executive creative director at an advertising agency thanking me for this group, telling me it was like having 500 colleagues down the hallway. And I don't know if anyone out there listening has ever worked in advertising, but let me tell you, this is a miracle that that person, specifically an executive creative director, took time out of their day to write an email to a stranger and thank them for something. I've worked in advertising agencies for more than 25 years. We've won Clio awards, and the executive creative directors are still like, get those production people. They don't talk to us or anything like that. So I knew there was something there. And as the group continued to grow, I realized that my strength would really, because I could see everybody who's coming, going. I see all the posts. I approve all the posts. I approve all the people. And I started to realize that I had this really vast perch to watch a human focus group, to see where there were gaps in knowledge, where there were people who misunderstood things, where there were people asking for resources, and I couldn't create them, but I knew people who might have them. So it all sort of spiraled from there. And I declared myself the intergalactic ambassador to the Printiverse, because the Printiverse encompassed everything. And that was really what was in my group now, because even though originally I had invited what I say, like that ecosystem of end users. You think printers are gonna allow, like, a group of 1,000, 2,000 print buyers to be by themselves? No, once the printers jumped in, the manufacturers jumped in, the paper suppliers, the software people. So in my LinkedIn group and in the Printiverse audience, there are everybody from people who sell janitorial supplies to the largest industrial 3D printers on the planet. I mean, I can't really think of a more of a range from that. So declaring myself the intergalactic ambassador to the Printiverse. And then from there, my mission became, how do I help people get information because I know what they're missing? And then also, I noticed another pattern, which was that corporations, and by the way, I was part of this system when I was working in advertising. They have marketing plans, they have messaging plans, and they continue moving forward. But in the printing industry and any technology industry, now it's one thing if it's a laundry detergent, new and improved. I don't need to go back to know what the old version was, right? But in with technology, that's not always the case. You actually do need to know what are the upgrades and do I even need them? Or what is the new thing and how does it matter to me? Not how it matters to that manufacturer who's trying to sell something, not how it matters to the printer who's trying to sell something at the end of the day, but in general. So I became a person who was able to go back to the audience and help keep shoveling people forward because I don't have a messaging plan. I don't have a marketing plan. I have a who needs information plan and let me help you continue to get it. So that is how it all started. And then all of the other things that you mentioned are really just gaps that were needed. Let's call it a neutral person to occupy. There are certainly vested interests in women in the industry, but trust me when I tell you these are business units of things. This is not like, well, we really should help women in the industry, and let's all collectively do that. There are people whose salaries are based upon things like that. I'm not detracting from the value that they put out there, but it's different, which is why they wax and wane, and I'm somebody who stays in these lanes as long as I possibly can. So that was a really long answer to your question, but, that's really how I ended up, let's say, on this side of things, but one of my primary missions is keeping the print customers where I came from educated on everything that's out there, all the tools that they have available to them. Because the first thing I learned at the first trade show I ever went to, a printing trade show. Why would a print buyer be at a printing trade show? I went, the Roland, which is a format manufacturer, had a booth, and in their booth, they were showing metallic printing coming out of a wide format printer. And if I can tell you, I sat there as if Moses or Jesus was in front of me. I was just like, "What is this? Oh my God." And I'm freaking out. And if I can tell you, because they're there to sell equipment, I'm I don't know if they thought it was a printer or what, but they're looking at me like I'm insane, and I'm like, "Well, when did this come out?" And they were like, "5 years ago?" And I was like, "What?" And I kept seeing this pattern, and then I realized, I had always been beholden to my printers, but I didn't realize it on a knowledge way.
Hmm.
So why, and this is right around the time 2000, uh, right after, right after the last recession, when there were a lot of people who were had pulled back on their print spend,
Mhm.
and now digital marketing was in full effect. So we had that whole "is print dead" moment going on, right? And it's not that it was ever dead. I will never, accept that. But there was why were people shelving things anymore? We had digital printing. Why was somebody printing 9,000 and storing them? The processes, the effectiveness and the efficiency of the buying hadn't changed with the technology because of this very simple thing. Why would a printer who didn't have digital technology tell their customers, there's actually a better way of you doing this, right? But you got to go to the printer down the street because we don't have it. They wouldn't. And if you asked them about it and they didn't have it, it was like, oh, you don't want to do that. That's the last thing you want to do. Of course, until they got the equipment, then it was like, you want to do it. Now, again, that does make any of those people bad people, makes them good salespeople, but it was not good for the industry. So my focus, because I had access, I still have access to all the agencies and everybody. They know I'm not a vendor. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm giving them information. So I felt that one of my primary missions was to put all the new ingredients in front of all the creatives and let them create with it. So that's really where my passion and focus lies. Open source information, everybody helping each other to succeed the best we can. And when print is a viable communication option, let's make it the best it can be. But let's also not get off my yard to those people who don't want to use print. Okay, then we can help you get people on your Facebook page through print. We can help you do open up digital relationships through print. We don't have to be out of the game just because somebody and the world is thinking digital first now. We have a real opportunity to look at the landscape and see all the places that print can help on these digital missions instead of railing against them.
That was outstanding, by
Thank
the
you,
way.
sir.
Gosh, it's interesting that you're in the spot that you're in, because I look at you and I can't help but uh, you're so authentic, right? And I think it would be very difficult to pull off what you're pulling off if anybody tried to box you in. So if you were working for anybody that tried to dictate anything that you were doing, you just would not be as good at what you're doing as you are. And it's so
Yep.
refreshing when you have somebody who is just you are authentically you, and putting out information that you love with zero barriers. And it's incredible to watch. I think that's why so many people are gravitating to you, because you just in this world, fortunate or unfortunate, so many people are walking around playing a part as opposed to being their authentic self. So when you come across somebody, especially in a commoditized industry like print,
Yeah.
like you, it's like, whoa, this is different. And that's when I reached out to you, that was my first thought. I was like, our CEO was like, hey, you should talk to Deborah. I was looking at this thing and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, these are the type of things that I like in my personal life, is this really creative, unique people. And you've turned it into an entire business, which is fantastic. It's helping a lot of people. It's very, very cool.
I appreciate that. And I want to say something about that, if I may. I have partners, they're manufacturers, but we have a few understandings. First, I am not a spokesperson for them. I'm not an endorser of it. If there is an opportunity and I can see what it is for printers in order to offer something to customers that makes sense, I'm fully in on it. There are plenty of companies that approach me and I'm like, no, I'm like, your thing, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but it's not really advancing anything. And we're a little over it now. So I really can't help you the way that you want me to. Um, and I also, make sure in all my contracts, there is literally a caveat that says, I do not guarantee anybody will care anything about your stuff, what I'm saying, or anything, but I will guarantee they will be aware you exist. If they go to your website and nothing's happening, that is not like it is not my job to be your sales funnel. I am more of a megaphone and a spotlight, and then it's up to everybody else to make their own decisions. But that's the whole thing. You I think that we owe it to each other to make decisions made based upon not a sales quota, but based upon a reality of how it manifests in the marketplace. So, um, I'm not saying I'm some savior or anything like that, but to your point, I am an acquired taste, is like I like to say. There are some people out there who don't want to work with me because they're actually nervous. Like, what is she going to say? What is she going to do? And they would want to have a more, let's say, structured relationship. But I can't do that because my primary um concern and focus is my connections, the audience. They are who I serve, and everybody else is a partner with me to help me get them information. I don't monetize I don't people have approached me, "We wanna send an email blast." I'm like, "Well, enjoy yourself. It's not going through my emails." I'm like, "I send 1 newsletter a month, and it's got like a 50 something percent open rate because I sent it once a month, and I don't bother anybody about it." So, a lot of that, unfortunately, is like a little Gen Xy, there's too much stuff, So I probably have to loosen those reins just a little bit. Maybe not on the emails, but, maybe on the access just a little more, but I'm just so protective of it because I'm a Gen Xer and we're just like, "Ah, there's too many people like knocking on all my
Mhm.
doors now?" But I appreciate that you think of me that way, branding, as they say.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to. I mean, and again, it's for me. I've always been a very creative person, right? And I'm drawn to people like you. Primarily because I think everybody wants to be like that.
Hmm.
I mean, they want to be free, and but everyone, for better or worse. Again, this isn't a knock on anybody, but people are taking care of things they've got to take care of. They got bills to pay, and et cetera, et
Yeah, they
cetera.
got jobs.
Exactly. And so there's not this. Everyone kind of tries to fit within the box and not get too far out of it. So when you come into somebody, where who's just like, this is clearly me and what I like and how I present myself, it's like, wow, that's awesome. It's so refreshing. I love it.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So let me ask you, as someone who is obviously, very authentic and creative, like when it comes to, I guess, to put this in a box, and I haven't prepped you for any of this, so if I throw something at you, we can figure it out. But like when it comes to,
Editors.
yeah, exactly. When it comes to like presenting, right? So you've got printers out there that are obviously trying to go after print buyers, which you're very familiar with. Have you seen anything, or is there methodologies that you think work best for that type of outreach?
I My Project Peacock initiative was based upon the first iteration of it was based upon taking print samples, going to the advertising agencies, going to their conference rooms, getting either a breakfast, a lunch, or a coffee break, getting all the creatives and the production people in the conference room and showing them print samples. Period. End of story. A slice of pizza, a bagel, a cup of coffee, and some samples that actually are different than anything they've seen. If you're going there with the trifold brochure, I hope you get thrown out of the agency. I really do. But that is really and and this is the most important part, not to have any expectations other than I got to share some really cool work we did with some really amazing people, and that's what I did today. If that is attached to, well, those bagels cost us $63 and we didn't get a print order, good luck 5 years from now, Y planting the seeds. When I worked in an advertising agency, I had a drawer, the dream drawer. I mean, everybody has one. Trust me when I tell you this. Marketing people have it. There are plenty of people who have a drawer of things that maybe one day
Hmm.
we will get the right client with the right budget or the right client for who will get this and we will get to do it.
Yeah.
And when that client comes along, we will remember you. And also, not for nothing, but a creative gift. Now you have to be very careful with gifts because buyers, especially in publicly traded companies, cannot accept gifts, but the agency can get a gift. And I only say this because of the cannoli guy, right? Sounds
Sure.
crazy. We didn't know. I couldn't tell you his name now, But at the time when I was working in the agency, some printer sent us a make your own cannoli kit with a ton of print samples and just said, "Happy holidays." And from that moment on, everyone was like, "Call the cannoli guy." Like, they loved the cannoli guy, you know? So, the cannolis were like the cherry on top, but it was the print samples, but it was a nice connection. So, if you can and last thing I wanna say is also be a little bit of a disruptor. I worked with another vendor who never came around Christmas, never sent the basket of muffins or never. You got it for Valentine's Day because
Mhm.
everybody else and their mother was sending it for Christmas and the holidays. They stood out by 2 months later. Oh, we've got some pretty tasty snacks in here, and the vendors coming over at noon to bring them over. Come on over with your tasty gifts. Like, I'm just saying, like, people at agencies will never turn away food and good sample. Now, it's a little different if you're a vendor, you can't just walk in anywhere. But if you already have a relationship, there are ways to just be a freaking human being about it and not, I'm sorry, that basket cost you $200. Like, just assume you're never gonna get that money for that basket back. What is it? It's not what it costs, it's what it's worth.
Mhm.
And for that cannoli guy, I'm still talking about the cannoli guy. I wish I could remember his name, unfortunately. But um, you know, it's not what it costs, it's what it's worth. So if you can come up with something, another amazing way to introduce things is not, hi, print customers. We just got a 1534 Acme press that goes 97 meters a minute and a B2. I'm like, I don't know what any of this means, goodbye, right? But next month, we're having free design classes for our new equipment. You have to see it to believe it. Send me a print sample with it. Make that print sample something I say, one day maybe I can create this, or I want to know how to create this, or there's another technology out there that I don't know about. I want to make myself more valuable. And hire a designer who can speak design to designers, not a freaking pre-press person who's just a for a printing company, unless they're a designer too. And sometimes we have if you're fortunate enough to have your pre-press person is also a designer, you're ahead of the game. And then invite all those people over. How could that not generate some work for your business? But it's about them, not you. And that's the whole point. Print customers can smell it's about you and not me 20 paces out. I
Yeah.
can see people at trade shows walking towards me and I'm like, "Oh god, this is not going to be good." I can see it in their eyes. Like, sometimes it's like, "Oh, that's that person's face I see all the time," and that's different than, "Oh, I've been wanting to get out her to, get something from her." Like, I can tell the difference in the faces. So can every print customer. So make it about them, not about you, and you have the best chance of having a conversation, which is a gigantic step towards eventually a sale. I define sales when a need and a relationship meet.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. God, I love talking to you. By the way, you're outstanding. The as I look at even what you're doing, it is fascinating to me. And I talk to our sales team about this all the time. It's like in any feed that you're in, you just hit the nail on the head. There's people that put in the effort to provide value all the time, right? They're not selling anything; they're just sharing their knowledge, their insight, and they're in my feed every single day for a reason because no one else is doing it.
Yeah.
And then when you see them, it's like, oh, there's that person. Or if that person called you or emailed, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I'll respond to this, as opposed to someone out of left field. So it always surprises me. I'm going to be a huge undertaking and probably not to that level, but what you are doing for your business, on a more of a obviously a micro level, like a lot of businesses creating that kind of that internal media company that shares knowledge and insights and all that is so valuable today. is an easy one to overlook because everyone wants to, hey, we've got this piece of equipment and you want to buy this
Well,
thing.
and that's the whole thing. I mean, it's a print business, right? They invested in the equipment and now
Yeah.
they're like, all you people need to go pay for this thing now,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or you wanted to personalize, now go get us some orders for personalization. Where meanwhile, in the print customer's mind, personalization's like, I don't want to do 5,000 anythings.
Yeah.
Why would I want to? I'm not data. I'm not asking my customers for, I'm just saying like the whole the whole system is not exactly set up for success, you know?
Sure.
And I think that that's why I've had some success in in this lane because I what I like to say, I call myself a print biologist because I like to help interpret these value propositions for
Mhm.
people, you know? And in that, for example, hey, we've got this new piece of equipment. And guess what? You could create one unique one. You could create 100 unique ones. You could create 10,000 unique ones if you really wanted to, or you could make a whole bunch of them red and a whole bunch of them blue, or you could, and or just use a really simple example and say, look, if you had a vet as a customer, you could send all the people who have dogs on the postcard for the checkups, and all the people who have cats, and iguanas, and not freak them out by leading with data-driven marketing. It's like, no, thank you. No, I do not want to do data-driven marketing. I'm a creative person. It sounds like an Excel sheet to me. And they're like, yes, it is an Excel. Yeah, no, no. But if you just tell them if you just give them that information, then step away and let them create something. Well, how do we get that all done? We can work that out later on. We can help you get it done. Whether you do one or a million, not a million, whether you do one or 10,000 different ones, we can work that all out. Don't worry about that right now. Right now, just come on over and see it in action, or let me come over and bring you some samples. Let's just have a conversation about possibilities and keep it on a everybody be calm. Let's introduce the new technology to print customers who are not technically savvy. I mean, I have been in doing this for almost, I guess, 15 years next year, and I am proud to say I still cannot tell you how a press works. Maybe I shouldn't be proud of that, but every time someone tries to tell me, if I can tell you, my eyes glaze over, and I'm like, look, I'm going to stop you right now because P.S. I'm not trying to build one, but thank you very much for all that information. Can you please tell me what can I make with it? That's all I want to know. And if everybody just approached
Uh,
it that way, I think doors would be flying open.
yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so good. So you've kind of been talking about it throughout our conversation here, which has been outstanding. But you recently wrote an article, and I've got a reality check, right? The perception of printing, which, by the way, you're a great writer. The,
Thank
the,
you.
the the reference to Silence of the Lambs was hilarious. But you talk about humanizing print, and we've kind of been talking about this in general. But like when you do, I mean, this is kind of going to be a rhetorical question, a little bit based on what you've already said. But when it comes to business and marketers creating things that are more personal, right, and connecting to their audience. I mean, do you see anybody doing that correctly? And I guess let me put a spin on that because you have answered this a little bit. But are the things you've seen people do very well that integrate both digital and print to accomplish that humanization?
Yes. I think that they're the most interesting things I've said, and I don't really call out printers individually, just because I don't really focus on it like that. But what I would say is that some of the most interesting things I've seen and focus around what I put under customer convenience. And customer convenience are things such as it's next to me, so I need to spell it, and you'll understand what I mean in a minute. There is a printer out there who was an early adopter of ALEXA technology. And in that, they are able to send mailings to people to make a donation by saying, "Hey, ALEXA, please make a donation to St. Jude's," for example. And ALEXA has my credit card and has everything I need. All I
Yeah.
need to do is tell it how much. Now, what that does is, okay, I get my mail. No, no, no. Later. No, no. Oh crap. What is this? Right? I don't know about you, but that my later pile starts to grow and grow and grow until I'm at the point where, well, if it was really important, I'm sure it's in this new stack of mail and I chuck it in the garbage, right? There's no customer convenience of me having to, I know this sounds crazy, type in a URL. I mean, not even a QR code, nothing. So anything that anybody who is investing in the ultimate way of helping their customers connect with theirs, communicate with theirs, engage with theirs, s- um, have a secure way of communicating. I am was not this year, but the year before, I actually, after forensic detectiving of a detective detecting on my email from Bank of America, I clicked on a link and they got me, right? And I
Mhm.
mean, I checked everything. I'm really good at checking everything. We have a rule in my family, don't click call, and everybody calls me and I look through everything. They got me. And I stood there for 3 hours watching my Norton wheel spin because that was going to be my punishment. I was gonna have to watch, and then I realized I was a file hoarder, which was a whole other problem. But what I also had the epiphany while I was watching this wheel spin is that had that, and the notification was just about like a low balance, or I don't know, something I was gonna get a fee or something like that.
Yeah.
Had that information come to me in a postcard or a letter with a personalized URL or a QR code or something, I wouldn't have questioned it for 1 second. Boop, because print is a security device, right? You don't you don't, it's not hacked. It people spend money on it. There's no like spam ring for postcards,
Mhm.
although might be. Let's not give anybody ideas, but currently, you know what I'm saying, it's that's not really how it works. So that is all digital first mindset. And if the printing industry keeps that in check and helps people connect that way and doesn't think that its primary function is generating more print, but its primary function is helping their customers do more business by any means necessary. If that means that restaurants want people on their Facebook page to make orders anymore, then that's the situation. Get them on their Facebook page. And if you do that successfully, I guarantee you can go back to that restaurant and say, okay, now that we've done that, we can do what else do you need to happen? Wednesday's a slow delivery night. Okay, let's focus on Wednesday. Let's do something for Wednesday and see
Mhm.
see what happens. So it really is about, in my mind, the most successful printers now and in the future will be ones who are reality based and not just trying to shove print down people's throats because they're printers.
No, that's great. That's outstanding. And you've been doing so much. I'm gonna ask you. I'm being aware of the time here. I'm gonna be respectful of your time. But like moving forward, is there anything that you're really excited about that's coming down the pipe that you've seen where like, wow, this is going to be a game changer?
Um, I think that robotics are really interesting. And I think that because printing industry does not have a genuine vested interest in workforce development other than saying, we've got a workforce development problem. Now somebody else figure it out. Um, things that can lift boards and put them, I mean, I'm not talking about human brain functionality things, but there are there are
Yeah.
things they can do. You can repurpose people. Um, workflow software automation is gonna start incorporating more AI. And I read the most interesting quote, and I apologize to whomever said it out there in the world. I will look it up. But it was this to this. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but it was basically this: AI is not going to replace your job. Someone who understands AI is going to replace you. And that I could not agree with more. The last thing I'm going to say about, fictional things that current fictional things that I believe or maybe not really just not fictional, but things coming that aren't here yet but are definitely coming. I don't see how the metaverse exists without the printing industry. It's
Mhm.
phygital is what they call it. If it's in online and it needs to manifest in the real world, good luck doing that without the printing industry. So if I had a printing business, and I've been presenting on this for 2 years, and if I can tell you, people are just like, "You're out of your mind, Deborah Corn. You're out of your mind." And I'm like, "Okay," but I'm telling you, there are already companies out there who are that all they do is make 3D furniture for stores in the metaverse. There are real estate companies that sell property in the metaverse. I mean, it kind of exploded for a little while there, then it crashed, but that's because the glasses are not democratized yet in order to
Mhm.
be accessible to everybody. But for God's sakes, once they are, okay, go right into that. Go right into that store and try to get that wallpaper without the printing industry. So what I would say is, if I had a printing business or I ran a print industry organization or anything like that, I would be immersed in getting joining those organizations, trying to understand, introducing to myself to as many people as possible so that when it comes, you're not catching up then, you're already ahead of the game. Same thing with AI, generated art. When Canva first came out, everybody could be a
Yeah.
designer. Okay. We'll put that to the side because designers, I don't agree with that at all. But unfortunately, it's a good it's a good tagline, right? But the printers were the ones who got screwed in that because, okay, essentially you're giving me a Microsoft Word document art. What am I supposed to? It does not going
Right.
through, not a PDF process. It can't go through my press. Well, AI generated art is not going away. If I were a printer, I would have lunch and learns about how to do the right prompts to create the art. If you want something big, if you want something small, and become the leader, the thought leader in the space and help people instead of railing against it. No, we must use stock art and I don't know what people think the answer is. I used to do a presentation where I showed people the yellow pages, and I would have to literally say, "Who knows what this is?" And maybe 3/4 of the people in the audience did, and then there was a whole bunch of people like, "I have no idea what that was." And I would explain to them, if you wanted to find a business, you had to go into this book and look for it. And they're like looking crazy. I said, "Guess who was upset when that went away? Printers and paper companies. Guess who wasn't upset? The rest of the world, because that's the internet now." And
Yes.
that is what the printing industry has to realize, because part of our workforce development is in this moment right here, where we're telling the digital people, no, don't do audio books. People like to touch things. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Instead of saying, we love audiobooks. Matter of fact, I have 97 of them on my phone, which, by the way, all printers more than likely
It's true.
do. right? Or podcasts, which are considered digital publishing. Let me tell you how we can help people get into customer loyalty programs, more customer engagement, how we can use direct mail to send to your influencers to get them to scan a QR code and get a snippet of something that they could review online. So there is a way that we can really incorporate ourselves. And I'm most excited to see the people step up and really take ownership of these spaces. These will be the future leaders of the printing industry.
Man, I love it. I can talk to you forever. I mean, it's really you're hitting on so many things. And I think it's interesting to watch because you're a perfect example of everything that you're preaching as well. You know, I mean, I think you're in the perfect spot for what you do and the value that you bring to the industry, of course. But it's like that mentality that you have. If someone working at a printer applied a fraction of that from a value standpoint, the reflection of, not everyone's going to be a customer, of course, but like for example, tomorrow, if you decided to go into sales for some random print company, people would trust you and know you and know your face, and that's kind of the objective. Like gone are the days where you're gonna knock on a door and be like, hey, this is 5 cents less than this one. It's always like, great,
Right.
you know, it's very refreshing. I mean, I can't tell you how grateful I am to have crossed paths with you. This has
Well,
been
I really
fantastic.
appreciate that you reached out to me, and for all you people out there, we had a few scheduling conflicts, and I currently have COVID, but I really do appreciate that you hung in there and that we had this conversation. And thank you so much, and
No,
thank you
it's
to all you
great.
people out there who
Yeah, I hope to
listened.
do it again. And I gotta say, I'll reference some of it, but I've been consuming a lot of the content you've been putting out there, and it's great. I mean, again, I don't know how you keep up with all of it. I mean, you're putting so much stuff out there, but it's really good. I mean, I was
Thank you.
just actually watching the one with God, my eyes are so bad with Trish Witkowski. Is that how you say her name?
Yeah,
With and it's just like little things like that where it's an example of even what you're preaching, like what she
yeah,
was doing, showcasing the work. It's cool. And then if I saw her somewhere, like if she sent me an email out of left field, like, "Hey, do you want to buy something?" And I didn't know who she was, I'd be like, "No." But if I saw her at a show or something, I'd be like, "Wow, you're the girl that
yeah.
does this."
Folding fanatic. Trish is actually one of my best friends.
Yeah, it's just so smart and so simple and by the way, fun.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. And it was the most brilliant thing about it is that Trish was a software developer. And you to your point, I have software that can develop templates for folding.
Yeah.
But now I sort of need to get people excited about
Mhm.
folding. And that was by calling out into the industry and saying, show me your cool stuff, and made this sort of relationship with people out there, um, in order to get these samples and then share them with her vast audience. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so smart and so well done, and it's just an example of taking your knowledge and making it fun, and but again, that takes. I mean, you've proven it, and you've obviously experienced it, but that takes kind of a longer term mindset where I'm just going to provide value. It's not going to may not turn over tomorrow where I get some whiz bang business out of it, but I'm just going to keep providing value. And I think the short sightedness and the instant gratification of so many people just they can't stomach it. Which
Yeah.
if you are someone like you or Trish or whoever, what a competitive advantage if you're willing to actually do it.
Yeah. I mean, every business out there has to make an investment in their people, their customers, the people they want to attract. And investment, that doesn't mean I sent an email, so I should get 20 orders right now. No, you're making an investment in the fact that you will be thought of as the thought leader of something, or they will remember, oh, I got something in my email about that, and they'll remember it. That's what you're investing in, So I agree with you wholeheartedly that uh it is a long game now for the industry, and in order to remain in it when the Gen Zers and the millennials, they live online. There's nothing they can look up anything they want to look up, and they're going to be able to call you out on if you're not being authentic, or start wondering why you're only like really into supporting people of color in February, and
Yeah,
it's June and now everybody has rainbow flags, and they're like, well, what have you done the other 11 months,
yeah.
and sustainability is the one that is going to bring down this industry. So I if you're talking about, an acquired taste, I'm an acquired taste when anybody wants to have a sustainability conversation with me. I mean, my arms go crossed and I'm like, go ahead, you can try. You can try, but it's gonna be very difficult. I'm like, why do you have to say it just to say it? It's not gonna work out for you. So yeah, I mean, I thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. We're
No,
doing like the long ending. I'm
I
sorry.
love it. I love it. I love it. And I'll definitely be in touch and have to do this again sometime. But I can't wait to meet you in person at some point. And just can't thank you enough for what you're doing and for spending the time with me here today. It's been a pleasure.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And hey, we reciprocate. Come on my podcast.
I'll have to. Well, I'll take you up on that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. I
Thanks,
really
Deborah.
appreciate it.